Hey everyone, I understand that temples right now are a point of discussion. There are certainly some people that are calling for it to be changed, and other people that are saying it's completely fine. I don't really know what's going on with that, and I don't want to weigh in on it. However, I thought it might be a good opportunity to talk a little bit about profit crafting because profit crafting is a way of generating currency that has nothing to do with temples, that is comparatively much lower effort, and it doesn't require you to have a strong character. What it is, however, is an acquired skill. It is something that is prone to variance and also has a lot of trial and error components to it. Um, it's not a given, but when you really get involved with it, when you really know what you're doing, I find it to be a very lucrative way of setting yourself up for success, especially if you're also playing the game on the side. Now, what I am not doing is actually playing the game. So my Atlas tree is completely blank. I have one ascendancy point. I am level 79. I hope all these things make it very clear to you that I have been interacting with the game almost in no way. I actually think, yeah, okay. I think this makes the point probably even more clear. So, despite that, I made myself 500 divines, and it's a nice milestone for me to also stop. Um, but wouldn't say amazing, but also I wouldn't say it's that bad. So here we are, 500 divines, and we did that all exclusively through profit crafting. I'm pretty happy with that result, and I think it's also viable for anybody else to do it. But again, it is an acquired skill, so keep that in mind. Now, a lot of videos, at least this is my experience having been a person who is essentially also been victim to this, it's the fact that a lot of people make videos trying to demonstrate how you craft a specific item, and then they get misconstrued as a way of basically profit crafting these items. Well, you have to understand that anytime a person is uploading a video to a platform, including myself right now, the item that they're demonstrating, those will get very expensive if they're also showing you the step by step as to how you craft it, right? So that's something that I don't want you to get hung up on. That's not what this video is about. This video is about talking thoroughly about how do you yourself find these items that might actually be worthwhile to craft. Because if only you know, then you can continue profiting off it, right? It's like being the person who made the video before they even made the video. So I hope that you take more from this video about the principles of profit crafting, the principle of understanding and reading the meta such that you can pick out these items, and what kind of resources you have available to learn all this stuff. So the first thing we have to do to get around that topic is that we need to look a little bit at my history and how I at least developed my net worth. Let's put it that way. So in the beginning, we're not going to focus so much on this. This is just a bunch of me bullshitting to get like a couple of divines early on. I started a day late. So this was exponentially more difficult, but we got there. We had like 2, 3, 4 divines, I believe, to get us started. Now, at this point, I have to ask myself, okay, how do I find the item that I want to profit craft? You have to ask yourself a couple of questions. So, what kind of approach would you prefer? Because you have 3 options. The first option is you check out what streamers are doing. Any streamer with a large follower base will have a lot of people trying to do exactly what they're doing. And in doing so, the items that the streamer is wearing on their character is also what a lot of other people are trying to emulate. Sometimes the streamers themselves will release a video about how to make those items, but until they do, there's a window of opportunity. The alternative is you strictly just use this database, PoE Ninja, that keeps like a population level statistic on what ascendancies are being played the most, what abilities, and you can inspect their characters as well. The third option is you just play the game a lot. When you play the game a lot, at the end of the day, you will learn a lot of different things, and all these kind of things will, compound into you having a very, very extensive knowledge of the game and an extensive knowledge of what people might prefer when it comes to different types of gear. I'm going to talk you through option 1 and 2 because those are the two I used. But I hope you understand the general idea behind the third principle. So, first thing, I knew that I had done zero preparation in literally in any capacity. I just hopped on that day. I barely read the patch notes, and I didn't know what streamers were doing or anything like that. So I hop on. After a couple of days, I do the campaign. I have 3-4 divines to my name, and I check out what's going on after roughly 4 days, I think it was. Well, after 4 days, I'm checking out this Pathfinder. Pathfinder and Shaman, those are the two ones that a lot of people are playing. When you're trying to find the item to craft, you have to really try and focus yourself on a demographic that is very popular. So what are a lot of people playing? Because those people will want to buy the same type of gear. So if you are able to craft one of those pieces of gear, you'll have a lot of people wanting to buy it. Now, I realized that Popgun was one of the people that was actually spearheading this Pathfinder poison build. So a lot of people were going to copy him. So I checked out his profile. I'm preferential to crafting amulets. Doesn't really matter why. Catalyzing only. That's essentially why. And I looked at his amulet and I saw, okay, here's a gold amulet. That gold amulet seems to have spirit, which is a hard modifier to hit, but then it has rarity of items found that can be an essence, all elemental resistances. Okay, maybe not the easiest one to hit, but it's still something that is doable. Lightning resistance, I can hit that with an essence. Global defenses, again, it's an essence. And then lightning and chaos, which is going to be literally just a desecrated mod with an omen, and that'll pretty much fix itself. So all things considered, this specific item is only bottlenecked by, having it's only restricted by the spirit being difficult to hit. If I'm able to get an item, a base item that has spirit already, and then either rarity of items, so I can essence the resistance, or resistance, so I can essence the rarity, then most of the other stats will fix themselves. Lightning and chaos, that's the desecrated on the suffix. Global defenses is just the perfect essence of enhancement. And then the last one, there's some different options you have to add the last elemental resistance. Of course, you need to be mindful what can also go wrong. So one thing that can go wrong, which is very important to keep in mind, is that global defense can basically override the spirit. And so that basically breaks your item completely. And you have to sell that for a much, much, much lower discount than what you were initially intending to. So that's what I did. I recognized that this was actually something that was craftable. I just needed, a magic base with spirit and either rarity or a resistance, and then I could continue on from there. You'll see my history. This is one of the first ones I made. It has a lot of the stats that we were fishing for, and it also has this life prefix. So it doesn't have 2 resistances, it only has 1 resistance, but then in return you get a little bit of maximum life. This final prefix will always random, so I have a version that also has mana, and I have some other versions as well. But this is what I realized, is this was an option for me. A lot of people would probably want this because Falcon is running it, and a lot of people are just copying what his gear is, which is fair, right? Sometimes gear can be a little bit overwhelming to think about how you craft it. So profit crafting, of course, is also affected by your ability to know how to craft stuff. That's something you need to be able to have prior to starting to profit craft. You actually need to know how to craft. I feel like that goes without saying. But yeah, I picked up on this and I just kept on going for a long time. Now something happens that you need to be very mindful of, and this is what happened to me. This character is his day 4 version. A lot of people have an early game version, a mid game version, early league version, a mid league version, and then an end league version. The idea is that you're essentially able to upgrade your character in different increments. What's very important to understand about that is that some of the old gear becomes obsolete, so they get pushed to the market, and now you're competing with the people that used to have the gear. For example, Fupgun, what he did is that at some point he changed his amulet to now have +3 projectile skills and spirit, which means that this old one he had, this one, it went on the market at some point. So I was competing with that. This is not just something that Fafgun did, this is what a lot of other people who played this version of the character also did. So there's a lot more competition. I'm sure some other people also picked up on this craft and they started to do it. So things, change. The league evolves, different builds evolve, they move on to the next stage, and that might make some of your crafts obsolete. So you need to be proactive in that sense and say, okay, this is what I got going right now. This is what I need to do afterwards. I'm suspecting this is also an option. Or you'll be doing multiple things at the same time. If you're really good at this stuff and you want to put in more effort than I did, you do multiple things at once. So that's what I did for a long time, and eventually it caught up with me. Things were slower to sell. I had to mark them for less than I wanted to. And eventually I just dropped them completely because now I did not really think of them to be too profitable or worth the hassle, really. Now as for the second thing I started to craft. So I tried a bunch of different things here and there. Nothing really stuck. And I realized that I was essentially just doing a bunch of bullshit and looking at videos and not really trying to understand the meta because, again, I just didn't really want to be that serious about it. However, one thing I can do, which is pretty low effort, is I can just look and see over time which ascendancy is on the rise. It doesn't have to be an ascendancy on the rise, but I just like doing it. I noticed that Oracle, which is at 13% here, 14% at week 1, 16% right now at week 2. Oracle seems to be on the up and go, it's trending upwards. And so because of that, I can have a look at Oracle and see what's going on with that. What kind of builds exist within Oracle? Because I'm expecting this number to essentially continue rising. So let's have a look at Oracle. There's a specific column here that is extra interesting to look at because a lot of people really like seeing damage go up. It's the DPS column. So let's go to week 1, which is around the time that I made this transition. Looked at my DPS column and I saw a lot of Comet Oracle builds. What they have in common is that there's a lot of them using Mind Over Matter, and even some of them using Eldritch Battery. So I wanted to see what kind of jewelry were they rocking, what kind of gear in general were they using. And I was looking here, okay, flat mana, percent mana, makes sense, right? It's a Archmage, Cast on Crit, Comet, Spark build. They need mana, but they also need Spirit, which is a side note for later on. Let's look at another person just to see if we're not like this is not just a fluke. Again, flat and percent mana, all spell skills as well. What about this guy? This guy has flat mana, he has all spell skills, and I'm starting to see, okay, there's a consistent pattern here, and it fits well with the archetype of this character, of this type of build as well. I'm also mentally making a note of what kind of suffixes that people are looking at. And, I ask myself, okay, this is the full pool of suffixes. Would it be okay if some of them were essentially, if I was just chancing one of the suffixes? So you make a lot of different considerations here. Now, I understand that this is maybe a little bit vague, so let's do one specific example. I know that percent mana and all spell skills, those two are going to be hard to hit. And I know that because when you look in here, Spirit, which I want to be, sorry, not Spirit, percent mana, which I want to be tier 1, it has a 0.4% chance of landing. And the spell skill +3, it has almost a 0.1% chance of landing, right? So these are two modifiers that are really, really difficult to come by on the same item. So I said to myself, well, that tells me I'm looking for items that have that are magic in base, like they're blue, they're magic, and they have both maximum percent mana and all spell skills. And as it happened to be, the market had quite a few of these marked at around 15 divines. Okay, that's fine. How would I then continue the craft? Well, now that it's a blue base, what I can do is I can put an essence on to, either put the rarity on if it's a gold amulet, or otherwise just put on a generic resistance. That means I have one suffix left over. Well, I would like that suffix to not take up my desecrated slot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use catalyst to try and see if I can bias the outcome on a resistance. The good news is that even if I just go for, I take my chance with the suffix, there's a lot of good suffix modifiers that might actually be relevant for this build. There are 5 different tiers of 5 different types of resistance. There is mana regeneration, which probably is also reasonable for this build. Cast speed, which is awesome. Crit hit chance and crit damage bonus, which is also awesome. These things are important to keep in mind because even if you don't hit exactly what you want, there is enough modifiers in this pool that might be able to cover for it. So yeah, that's essentially what happened. And I realized I had the flat mana left at the end, which was also either a desecrate or a flat, or just a slam with a catalyst again. So yeah, that's sort of like what happened. And this is like one of my first ones where I was able to slam. I believe this one was not. I did not use an essence here. I think I just went for it. And yeah, like elemental resistance, all attributes. The all attributes is fine, right? Because it has intelligence in it, and intelligence will, at the end of the day, build your mana even more. Global defense, again, very useful for this kind of build as well. I had some examples of this, which ended up being a little bit more interesting, which was one that hit 2 different resistances, all the stats that we were talking about, and it hit increased maximum energy shield, which you might as well just read as another mana modifier because of Eldritch Battery, which converts your energy shield, converts all energy shield to mana, doubles mana cost. So that's also something else to keep in mind. Here, as the final note, I just want to talk to you about like the fact that, I went with this for quite a long time. And again, I'm starting to see it slow down. I'm starting to see it not necessarily be all that, it's not as much in demand, and like prices are dropping. Maybe people are picking up on this craft. I want to maybe transition. So here today, essentially, I worked on like a different version of this kind of amulet, one that has cast speed in it. The reason why I picked that up is, once again, we're using our knowledge of these databases to help us out. One other thing you might notice here is that this is week 1. Blood Mage is on 7%. Now it's on 10%. Right now it's on 12. So like Blood Mage is also trending upwards. I noticed during gold rotation that Blood Mages were also doing the whole comet thing. And that made me think, oh, these guys want exactly the same amulet as I just made. They just want it with life modifiers instead of mana, right? That would make sense. Turns out that that's actually not the case. I noticed that the people that also came to buy my amulets oftentimes were also Blood Mages. So they wanted mana for some reason. Turns out that based on these initial more or less observations or skepticisms, I decided I wanted to have a look at it. When I looked at the Blood Mages, I actually noticed that quite a few of them were using Comet. And when you sort by DPS, once again, you find that mind over matter, mind over matter, mind over matter, mind over matter. So these guys are also all mana. They're all about doing mana, of using mana to scale damage. And I think it's probably because of this one primarily. So yeah, these guys are very heavy on the spirit, on the maximum mana, on the increased mana, but they also want cast speed. So I started to branch out to making something like this, which had the spirit, which had the the flat mana, all spell skills, cast speed, and then I tried my best to hit a high tier of increased maximum mana, but that seemed to be a little bit of a rough one. This craft in general was something that, I got a little bit stuck on, maybe a little bit lucky on it. I got this version as well. Got a little bit lucky on this one. you win some, you lose some. Keep that in mind. Again, it's an acquired skill. You will have failures. You also have some massive wins occasionally. This one is very much a coincidence. So I noticed that I hit this one. This is tier 1 maximum energy shield. And I said to myself, honestly, at this point, I have spent a lot of money on this. What if I just hope for the best and use a perfect essence of enhancement, and it takes up the other prefix, not this prefix. Like it basically gives me this specific outcome where I have maximum energy shield and global defenses, and I call it at that. And you know, I got really lucky with it. It did not consume the maximum energy shield, so now I have this version of the amulet. Prior to committing to it, I just checked trade and saw, is anybody even making this stuff? Is anybody even, you know, crafting it? Because if there are like multiple versions of this kind of amulet, then that at least informs you that it's something that people are crafting, and they're crafting it because they're using it for one reason or another, or because somebody's using it. So I went through with it, and it turned out really nice. So you're also gonna have these like happy accidents, so to say. It's part of the game. I want to leave you with this last one. Last league, a lot of people were playing Blood Mage. A lot of them. And if we do this, maybe focusing on the people that also play Spark. So like, not only can you use this ascendancy percentage one to help you, you can also look at like the main skills. Sometimes you can even use these uniques to inform you a little bit. So I'm looking for the one that also had Wrathbit. You'll find that, actually not this guy. Let me find a little bit of a better example if I'm lucky. Well, I'm not too lucky, but there is this like version of the build that focuses a little bit more on a life and cast speed and skill speed and all these kind of things together, that basically makes it into a very craftable ring. So most of my last league was focused around making these kind of rings, again because I just saw that Blood Mages was just something that a lot of people were playing. The Spark version, which was what most of the Blood Mages were playing, they were running these kind of rings, so I started crafting them specifically. So that's it, right? I hope this makes sense to you. I hope you understand, you know, the principles of how we're approaching this. If you have to do a mental checklist, I would say, one, make sure that this is something that a lot of people are using. Like this has a high, like a big, it hits a big demographic. Two, make sure that of course it's a profitable craft. And three, make sure it's also a consistent craft. Like it's very important that you're able to craft this thing multiple times in a row so that you can profit these 10, 20 divines every single time, and then do that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 times. And suddenly you're up 100 divines or even more than that. Yeah, like again, I've said this so many times. I'm going to say this one last time. This is an acquired skill. You have to put in time to learn it. You have to also know how to craft, and you will have failures along the way. Don't get discouraged by them. Try and ask yourself what went wrong, and then move on. All right. I hope this makes sense. I wish you guys all the best and good luck with this if you decide to go that route. And take care.